What if I told you that 100 years ago, America was already becoming one of the most powerful nations on Earth, but it was not yet the superpower we know today? Today, when people think about the United States, they often imagine advanced technology, powerful cities, the world's largest companies, and a major role in global politics. But America did not become powerful overnight. It was a long journey built by millions of people, thousands of businesses, and generations of innovation. So, what was America really like in 1926? How strong was the country? And how close was it to becoming the global leader of the modern world? Let's travel back in time to the United States of 1926 and discover the story. America in 1926. The year was 1926. The United States had a population of around 117 million people. Compared to today's America, it was a much smaller country, but it was growing at an incredible speed. Across the nation, cities were changing. New York was becoming a center of finance and culture. Chicago was growing as a hub of industry and transportation. Detroit was becoming famous as the heart of America's automobile industry. The American skyline was also beginning to transform. Skyscrapers were rising higher, factories were expanding, and new neighborhoods were being built. For many people, America represented opportunity. Thousands of immigrants arrived every year, hoping to build a better future for themselves and their families. They came with dreams of owning a home, finding a job, and creating a new life. This was the era known as the Roaring Twenties. It was a time of excitement, creativity, and rapid change. The rise of American industry. One of the biggest reasons for America's growing power was its economy. By 1926, the United States had become one of the world's largest industrial economies. American factories were producing huge amounts of goods. Steel, machines, clothing, electronics, and automobiles were being manufactured faster than ever before. One company changed America more than almost any other: Ford. Henry Ford transformed the automobile industry with the moving assembly line. Before this innovation, cars were expensive and difficult to produce, but the assembly line allowed workers to build vehicles faster and at a lower cost. The result? Cars became affordable for ordinary American families. The automobile changed everyday life. People could travel farther. Businesses could deliver products more easily. Small towns became connected to larger cities. The car was not just a machine. It represented freedom, progress, and the American dream. The boom before the storm. The 1920s brought incredible economic growth. Businesses were expanding. Factories were hiring workers. Stock markets were rising. Many Americans felt confident about the future. Banks were lending money easily, and people were buying homes, cars, and new products. For many families, life was improving. But beneath this success, there were also problems. Not everyone benefited equally from the economic boom. Some industries struggled, and many people borrowed more money than they could afford. Many Americans believed the good times would continue forever. However, history would soon prove that even the strongest economies can face difficult moments. Just a few years later, in 1929, the stock market would crash, beginning the Great Depression. America's military power in 1926. When we talk about power, we often think about the military. But in 1926, America was not yet the world's strongest military nation. After the destruction of World War I, many Americans wanted peace. The country focused more on business, technology, and economic growth rather than building a massive military force. The U.S. Army was much smaller than it would become during World War II. America had resources, technology, and industrial strength, but it had not yet transformed that power into global military leadership. That transformation would come later. America's place in the world. In 1926, America was becoming more influential around the world. Its factories produced products that were sold internationally. American banks and businesses were becoming more important in global trade. Hollywood movies and American culture were also beginning to spread internationally. However, the United States was not yet the dominant world power. At that time, the British Empire still controlled a huge amount of territory around the globe. Britain had a powerful navy and worldwide influence. America was rising, but it was still sharing global influence with other major nations. The turning point would come after World War II. After 1945, America emerged as one of the world's leading superpowers. Everyday life in 1926. Life in America in 1926 was very different from today. There were no smartphones, no internet, no social media, no instant communication. Instead, people depended on newspapers, telephones, and radio. Families often gathered together in the evening to listen to radio programs, music, and news.
Movies were becoming more popular, although many films were still silent and in black and white. Television existed only as an early experiment and was not part of everyday life. Most families cooked meals at home. Children spent more time playing outdoors. Letters were one of the most important ways to communicate with people who lived far away. Life was slower, but communities were often closely connected. People depended more on their neighbors, families, and local communities. So, how powerful was America 100 years ago? The answer is fascinating. In 1926, America was already an economic giant. Its factories were among the most productive in the world. Its businesses were growing rapidly. Its technology was changing everyday life. But it was not yet the global superpower we recognize today. The United States was still building its foundation. The Great Depression would test the country, World War II would completely change its role in the world, and after those events, America would rise to become one of the most influential nations on Earth. The America of 1926 was not the finished story. It was the beginning of a remarkable transformation, a nation growing, changing, and preparing for the future. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Which country should we explore 100 years ago next? Thanks for watching.